Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 135 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're going to be discussing getting ready for the range and your approach to training, how we approach this, things that you should be thinking about, and really to get the most fun out of the fundamentals of marksmanship. And this is sort of going to be the approach to going into and talking about a series in which we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of marksmanship. So it really starts with about how we get ready and our approach to training, and then we'll kick into some of the fundamentals of marksmanship over the several different podcasts that'll be posted up here over the next month or so. So ought to be a great podcast. We're looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us. But without further ado, here we go. So before we get started, I do want to say a quick thanks to Krieger Barrels. Krieger is the maker of fine cut rifled barrels made in the great state of Wisconsin. So if you need a barrel and you want the best and you need it now, stop over to KriegerDirect.com. It's our new program where you can order a barrel that's in stock and have it delivered in as little as 2 to 3 business days. So if you want the best and need it now, stop over to KriegerDirect.com. That's KriegerDirect.com. We'd also like to thank Trigger Tech, maker of fine rifle triggers. We just finished a installation video. We'll be doing a part 2 to that soon, so you can stop over to our YouTube page, see more about it and how we put them in our guns. And we're going to be doing a trigger review soon. But we use Trigger Tech for many different reasons. They're safe, end-user friendly, end-user installation, and they make them for a lot of great rifles and a lot of great types. So single stage, 2-stage, different pull weights, different shoe designs. So really just a fantastic trigger. We fell in love with them here. We put them in all of our custom rifles. If you want to learn more about Trigger Tech and you'd like to put one in your rifle, custom or otherwise, stop over to triggertech.com. That's triggertech.com today. So getting ready to train and your approach to training. And this is going to lead into our series in which we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of marksmanship. The core part of our approach and sort of how we get ready to train, or we're starting to get ready to work on a rifle and getting, let's just say we got a brand new rifle, we're getting ready for the season. We have to step back sometimes as shooters and hunters and think about our approach and, what the rifle's going to be used for, what we plan on doing with it, how we're going to approach our training with it. A lot of people, and I don't want to lump everybody in there, but a lot of people just take it that going to the range and just blazing ammo down range is you getting used to your rifle and you getting better with your rifle. And really, it's no different than those thinking driving to the grocery store is just making you a better driver every day. The way you approach your training, and it's like a work day, you have to put something in place in writing that, what you're working towards. So think about like goals. And we talk about setting goals in business, and every book, every writer, everybody that's, professional say that 90% or 95% of your business owners, they don't have written goals. And so it doesn't surprise anyone when you think about how they approach their training for their rifle that they don't have any goals they're working towards. They don't have anything that they're trying to do. This podcast actually came about because we are going to start into our fundamental series, and I'm trying to give guys the tips to get the most from their rifles. But we had a customer stop in our store, and I must look a lot different than what I did 20 years ago. So I have to share with you a funny story, right? We filmed 2 varmint hunting videos called All Hogs Go to Heaven, and it was meant for shooting woodchucks here in Pennsylvania. The reason I'm bringing up this goals in our approach and getting ready to train was these videos. So the customer, to tell you the funny story part, he walked in and he's talking to me. He's a local physician, and he was talking about hunting and varmint hunting, and he'd never been in our store before. And, so I'm standing there talking to him for probably 5 or 10 minutes. And then he goes, "Hey, did you ever see that video, All Hogs Go to Heaven?" Because a friend of mine was in that. And I'm looking right at him, and I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen that." He goes, "What a great video." And I'm like, Yeah, I sort of wrote it, produced it, filmed it, edited it, and was the co-host in it. And he was like totally looking at me like I was, what? So, I must look a lot older than what I did 20 years from now, because if you've watched the video recently, I must not look anything like I did back then, I guess. But then we talked about training and shooting and long-range shooting, and one of the things that a lot of people overlook was what that video meant to me as far as learning to shoot and setting goals and working towards them and training like a maniac towards these goals. And I think as shooters, we really need to do this. So let's roll the tape back here a little bit and talk about All Hogs Go to Heaven. We filmed that to try to produce a varmint hunting video that was fun here in Pennsylvania, to try to promote varmint hunting, because it really is a fun way to get out with friends and family and go out and enjoy yourself as a varmint hunter, shoot critters. I have a lot of fun with it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I did it since I was able to carry a 22 long rifle. And outside of just business going and keeping me busy the last 7 years, and the fact that we killed a lot of the groundhogs off and the coyotes are putting a beating on them, we decided not to shoot any of them for a while and try to let the population come back because of the other critters that are sort of putting a beating on them. So we just don't want to wipe them out. But the first video was actually filmed for a reason. So we filmed it for the Varmint Hunters Association's 500-yard club. And what that set up for me personally and how it changed my shooting and my approach to shooting and my training changed everything for me from that day on. The minute we decided to do this project and training up to get into what they call the 500-yard clubs. Now, keep in mind, there was no first focal plane, right? I mean, that was a rare beast. I don't even know if it was on the market yet. There really wasn't any ballistic apps. I mean, I think there was one called Patagonia that was $300-400, but still, there was no ballistic apps to speak of. I mean, none that were like they are today. A lot of our dope was data previous engagements, going out and doping your rifle. I could barely afford a chronograph. My early years of shooting when I was a kid, I just wrote my dope down at distances and backlog the BC of the bullet in. I mean, there's so many things you could do to get dope for a rifle and fix it and get really good true working dope. But the reason I brought this up is all of these things that I've learned that sort of laid the groundwork for what we do today and what we're teaching was working towards this video of getting a confirmed kill on a Pennsylvania woodchuck at 500 yards. And, you know, to some people now that might seem like trivial, right? We did it with factory guns. So that was one of the goals was to do it with factory guns. And we did it with small calibers, 223, 204, 22, 250, all shooting 50 grain or less bullets. So true varmint rigs and lighter class rigs. These weren't full heavy guns. And the work that we had to do and the training we had to do to get the rifles up to speed, to get out there and get after the targets, to train, it changed my shooting. Like we were at the range we weren't there now just to goof around and shoot a couple targets here for bragging rights or to, test a load, or we were working towards something that was legitimate. When we were hunting these woodchucks, if you missed, they went in the hole, you might not get another shot at them for quite a while. The gig's up. And so blowing the shot, and then on top of that, you had the stress of trying to film it. And so if you got all set up with the camera to film, then, that's hard to do on itself without getting busted. But then once that's done, if you don't do your job as a shooter, then you've just wasted a lot of effort. I mean, and carrying this equipment around, oh my God, they really didn't have, like our cameras were film cameras for crying out loud. And they didn't have a lot of really good glass and HD lenses, not at least nothing that we could afford back then that was, $10,000, $20,000. So it was really awesome on how we started working towards filming this video. Now, the Varmint Hunters 500-yard club sat the bar. So what that is the Varmint Hunters Association was an organization where if you had a confirmed kill by another member at a certain distance, you got your name written in the record book, right? So Rich Gugorchik was a member. I was a member. He shoots a groundhog at 500 yards. I have to fill out the paperwork with him. I sign and witness it. He sends in a photo, and he gets his name in the record book as a confirmed kill at 500 yards. That was the club. And so the whole video is filmed for this, for both of us to work towards and get in the Varmint Hunters Association's 500-yard club through the summertime. And what a hoot it was. Had a 204, 22, 250. Rich had a 223 lightweight pencil barrel, nonetheless. But, all factory guns, having a great time. And my God, did we learn so much. And when we went to the range, we were training towards something. We were working on a rifle, really trying to get our doped out in at 500 yards because, let's face it, a woodchuck at 500 yards is small, right? And how that changed my approach to shooting forever, focusing on fundamentals and everything that we need to do behind the rifle before we shoot, focusing on environmentals, what to look for. I mean, you've got a woodchuck that's literally half the size of a gallon water jug, or maybe the kill zone the size of a half a gallon water jug, setting up at nearly 500 yards, and you're shooting a 52 grain bullet that has no BC, that falls off the planet past 300 yards, the wind drift outrageous, drop outrageous, and you're trying to hit this, right? So when you start factoring in all these things, it may go into the range a challenge and really a lot of work to get these guns really, really dialed in and get our shooting really, really dialed in. Learning, practicing, competing, everything that we could do to get rounds through the gun and grow as a shooter now. It wasn't just about shooting. We were working towards a goal. In the end, at the end of the year, my furthest shot on that film was with a 204 Ruger, shooting I think it was a 32 grain or 30 grain or 40 grain bullet on a crow at 527 yards. On a crow, it wasn't even a woodchuck. And the body of a crow is about the size of a large egg. I don't know who was more surprised, me or the crow, honestly, because when we sat up to shoot it, we got it on film, by the way, which is pretty cool, and we posted it up on YouTube if you want to see it. But the crows, usually when you point a gun at them and you're getting ready to shoot them, they just fly away, right? They nothing to do with that. They know. It's like the sixth sense. So it's a joke with us that they'll fly before we get a chance to shoot at them. Well, they stayed. I got on the hay bale, got all set up, pulled the trigger, and it just fell over dead. It was amazing. It was a great shot. And I remember the film, I was just like, woohoo! I had to do all this editing because I was so excited, that I pulled the shot off. Not even with anything that had any advantage whatsoever. It was a Ruger 204 with a 40 grain or 32 grain VMAX. Had a BC of like 176. So, I remember that I didn't even have enough elevation in my scope because this gun was really meant for like 300 yard shots, 350. And so I topped out my scope. I couldn't even dial enough, so I had to actually hold the rest of it in a minute-based scope to shoot them. So what it taught me was, number one, how critical it is to train properly. We were training for a reason at that point. So getting ready for your range trips and getting ready for a hunt, getting ready to train, have a reason, something you're working towards, a goal. And then the other part is just how you approach your training. Like, go with a purpose, work towards something. Our goal was to be able to shoot factory guns less than 1.5 inches at 300 yards with our loads and try to get them closer to 1 inch if we can. Now, our custom rifles, we try to do even better than that. But, on factory guns, shooting 1.5 inch group for 300 yards isn't all that easy. That's a half a minute of angle. But these guns had to shoot like this to be able to hit something at 500 yards that was the size of a half-gallon water jug. And so we worked really hard. We did a lot of reloading. We did a lot of dope work, making sure our elevation was right, because it doesn't do you any good to shoot 2 inches over their head or hit at their feet and throw dirt all over them, right? And so all these little things narrowed the box into how good we had to shoot and made us train to that level. And I think that was the key is think about how good you need to shoot, the size of the targets, and then train to it. That's really cool. So your approach to training, why you're training, write some goals down, and start working towards it, right? Our goal was to shoot a critter at beyond 500 yards on film and get in the 500-yard club. I started competing a lot, so I started signing up for sniper matches, which eventually got me in at Leupold. Hornady helped us with bullets and stuff. This is pre-sponsorship like you think now where, shooters are actually getting paid. It was really cool to be on that side of the industry, right? Then we did the All Hogs Go to Heaven 2, which was for the 1,000-yard club. And in this one, we started doing heavily modified rifles, a lot of the custom rifles that we built, true factory guns, everything we could do because now we're working towards 1,000 yards. And again, we're not just shooting steel. We were actually hunting small critters at those distances. And a good day groundhog hunting, you might get 6 or 7 shots. Honestly, that's a great day. There are days we go out all evening after work till dark and maybe shoot 1 or 2 shots, maybe 1 shot each. So it was a lot of monumental work. And when you got that opportunity at 1,000 yards, you didn't want to blow it. So we started getting really good success at 6, 7, 8, 900 yards. And I remember at the end of the year, my furthest woodchuck that I shot on film, one was with my dad at like 980 yards with a 308. But my furthest woodchuck, I think, in the film was 1140. My dad had one at just over 1,200 yards. But still, we worked towards another set of goals. We kept fine-tuning the rifles and our ability and our shooting. So it's one thing to have a rifle that can shoot at those distances, but it's another thing when you have to drive it to get the bullet to hit there. The next several things that we're going to talk about here on the podcast is the fundamentals of marksmanship, things that you should be thinking about while you're getting out and learning and enjoying the art of marksmanship. But before we even do that, maybe think a little bit about what goals you're working towards. Like if you're going to go varmint hunting, or if you want to start competing at distance, or you're going on an elk hunt and you want to train out to 600 yards. I remember when I went on my elk hunt, last story, I took my 264 Win Mag, and I took it out groundhog hunting all summer long. My goal was to be able to hit a woodchuck at 600, 700, 800 yards with it. And at that point, I would feel really comfortable, at 500 yards on an elk. It was training with a purpose, got more into match shooting, and actually went and shot it in some matches, believe it or not. Some local varmint hunting type matches or varmint matches, out to 500 yards for score. And actually placed it I think the Varmint Hunters Association had a Northeast Regional Championship. Shooters from all over the Eastern Seaboard came up, and I think I ended up taking second or third in factory class with a 264 Win Mag. But still, talk about going out and elk hunting and having some confidence in your rifle, right? You've shot woodchucks in the head at 200-300 yards. You've actually placed in national matches with it out to 500 yards. So felt pretty good going out there and trying to chase an elk down and trying to keep a shot within 500, and ended up shooting the elk at 650, which was just awesome to have it here. Can't wait to go and try it again. But reason I'm bringing up all these stories is it taught me a little bit that you had to train to something. You had to have a reason, not having a reason to go and shoot and just going to shoot for shooting's sake is just, really just, I don't know, it's just killing time. Where if you're working towards something, that's why I say, if you get involved in match shooting, like NRL out west, I would love to go to some matches next year and start working towards, because it makes you all of a sudden go out and start training again. It makes you shoot in different positions. It makes you practice in different positions. And when you go to the match, I always said matches were like a hunter's dream for really getting you trained up for a hunt, because they make you shoot from all these weird angles, positions, distances, unknown sometimes. They targets presented, you got to range it, get on it, shoot it, make the wind calls. Just really preps you up. So think about getting ready to train and sort of like what your goals would be. Write down some goals if you have some. I know that sounds cheesy on a podcast, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Write down some goals, things that you want to accomplish. Like, I'll tell you a really funny one. We have a friend of ours, Ken Menji, that wanted to shoot a Coke can at 1,000 yards. Now, to some people, if he'd say that to them, hey, my goal is I want to shoot a Coke can at 1,000 yards, they'd probably look at him funny, like, what? But honestly, I got it. He was a varmint hunter, and his goal, and he built a rifle with us to do that, and he actually did, but he didn't shoot a full size. He shot like one of those mini Coke cans at 1,000 yards. Pretty cool. I remember somebody challenging to shoot like tomatoes and golf balls and just shooting stuff at those distances, and we've done it. Like challenging yourself and then saying, okay, like him, I want to shoot a Coke can at 1,000 yards. Imagine, he's going to the range, he's doing his load work, he's getting the rifle ready, he's getting everything set up, he's thinking about his setup, he's selecting his bullets, he's getting his doped out, and he's working towards something. And really, I think it makes you look at it like almost like a training or a work session, or, you're working towards an end goal, and it gives you purpose in going to the range, right? And then also how we train at the range and setting up a training regimen on how you're going to approach it, things you're going to work on, the list of priorities, or what are you going to tackle first? Are you going to learn to reload? Are you going to set up for factory, miniature mills? There's all that stuff. So we're going to get into the fundamentals over the next several podcasts, try to give you some tips and things that you could work on there. Before we get into it, if you want to go back and listen to podcast 116 to 122, we talk about the 4 pillars of marksmanship and things that you should really start training to. And I'll leave a link down below here where you can start on episode 116 and get started on it. So 116 to 122 was the 4 pillars of marksmanship, but these next couple are going to be on the fundamentals. The other thing I want to touch base on here is just to wish everybody a happy new year, hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. 2023 is coming down the pipe. We're all getting older. I guess I'm unrecognizable from when I was in my 30s and 20s. Not a bad thing. We made it this far. The alternative is not any better. But, just to be thankful, like I always want to say thank you to everybody out there that's listened to the podcast, that's shared it. I want to say thank you to any of our customers listening. You have made a lifelong dream of mine come true, and getting to run my own business and sharing what I do with people for a living and building rifles and showing people how to build rifles and working with them and sharing with them the love and the art of marksmanship. That's my dream job, and I want to say thank you to everybody out there that's listening that's been part of our lives and part of our business and making this dream possible. And it's because of you that we get to do what we do here. So thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Before we continue on, I do want to say a quick thanks to our last sponsor. MDT is a proud sponsor of the show. We really appreciate all the work that they've done in making the show possible. We have an ACC Elite that we just got in. We're going to do an unboxing tomorrow, and it should be up next week. But they make world-class chassis from the HNT 26 right down to the new ACC Elite. And it really is a nice upgrade for your rifle. So for one of my rifles that I filmed in our second video, I changed the stock out to a custom stock that fit me better. And that's a big deal, when you're getting the rifle to fit you properly. So, whether you're shooting custom or otherwise, if you really want to upgrade your rifle and you see a stock there that would fit your needs, hunting or tactical, you can stop over to mdttac.com. That's mdttac.com and see what all they have to offer today. Also, I just want to throw out there real quick before we wrap up this podcast for our New Year's. We do have our online long-range shooting school. It is functioning. We have 20-some videos up right now, I believe over 6 or 7 hours of content with more stuff going up weekly. And that is only session 1. We have 2 more sessions to go. All have about 30 or 35 videos. It is our entire long-range shooting school, there for people to enjoy from the comfort of their own home. So if you're into long-range shooting or you want to learn the art of marksmanship and all the things that we do, it's really about 7 years of experience that's going to be up there on the page when the entire process is complete. We suspect it'll be complete probably by early spring. The entire series will be up and live there forever for those that, we get a chance to share, all the things that we've learned over the years and all the things that we do here at the shooting school to pass on to you. So you can check it out on our website. It's wolfprecision.net and look for our online long-range shooting school, or you can go straight to Patreon. It's listed on Patreon. Just look up Wolf Precision and you can sign up there. It's a monthly fee. You can sign up for the year if you'd like, and new content will come out weekly. We really appreciate that as well. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast and you'd like to sponsor or be part of the show, you can pay $3 a month and be a patron supporter. You can see that at Wolf Precision at Patreon as well. We really appreciate that for all that have done it. So thank you for everybody who supported the show and for all of those that are signed up with the online long-range shooting school. Really appreciate you being there. The stuff we're going to cover here is just a lot of bonus stuff, right? And it's for free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Just us sharing really good content and trying to help you get the most from your shooting and from your rifles. The last thing I want to touch base on is just our approach to what we're working on for 2023. We really are trying to find ways to make the best rifle in the world. We have some really cool stuff that we're going to start sharing in January that is just, if I can, like you see people do that little thing where it just blows their minds, right? That's what's coming in January. Wait till you see what we're doing with rifles. This is some of the coolest stuff ever dreamed imaginable. Beyond even what the ACE is, and retrofittable for all the customers out there to have our ACE system. If this works as it is working right now, this could be a real big game changer in extending the barrel life and even the accuracy of the rifle. Really, really cool. Can't share a lot about it. It's still in the works. But as soon as we get all of our protections in place for all of our patent pendings and that all that background stuff, I can't wait to share that with you. That's going to be 2023. It's one of the biggest exciting things that we've been working on this year. The other thing I want to share with you as well is when we're delivering the rifles to the customers, we're still going to offer the in-person classes. If they want to come in and do a custom rifle delivery day, we call it Tier 1. But basically, you can come in and complete your rifle under our guidance, take you out to lunch, we take you to the range, we fit it with your... We have a customer here today, actually, put his rifle together from Florida. We'll be taking him actually to the range tomorrow. He came in for 2 days. We're doing some reloading work and some special stuff that he had asked. So that's pretty cool. We get to share that with you. And then, of course, we still build completed custom rifles, so we can build your rifle and ship it out. That's no problem at all. And then we offer our kits there where you can purchase everything. You install the trigger and you save yourself $1,000. That's really, our goal is to get you the very best product that there is at the very best price. That's always how business works. And, we've done a lot of work on really trying to make the rifle the best it can be and really developing things that are just completely outside the box as far as how modern rifles are built, which allows us to repeatably build these rifles over and over again. And now it's our job to say, okay, how can we get it to the customer in the best way? And so the kits you see online are starting at about $29.95. and you install your own trigger. We have our videos up on YouTube now, show you how to do that. And it saves you nearly $1,000 on your rifle. So if you want to have some fun with it, call up another rifle maker and say, hey, if I install my own trigger, will you take $1,000 off the rifle, and see what kind of response you get. But, it's our obligation to the customer to make sure that we're giving them the very best we can. And there's really no reason not to at this level of the game. It's a component-based system. We want you to be able to maintain and change and build all kinds of really cool stuff and change calibers, the things that we do. But at the same time, we have a responsibility to always make sure that we're doing it the best way possible to get them the best value for their money as well. So you can see more about that at wolfprecision.net. So really looking forward to 2023. It's been a great year this year. We really enjoyed all the great people coming into the schools and all the classes that we've held. We have limited classes. We have some of our advanced classes up you can sign up for next year. Our shooting schools are filling for the summer. I think we only have a couple of slots left through July, so if you'd like to join us there, we'd love to have you. We do have our early bird special, so if you sign up for any of our classes between now and January 1st, you get $50 off as our way of saying thank you, so we're looking forward to having you all here. So really, from all of us here at Wolf Precision, Lori, our office manager, Richard, Michael, Gabby, everybody here that's made this business possible, all the people in the background, Bat Machine, and all the people that work with at Krieger and IBI Barrels, and just for everybody out there, we want to say thank you so much for what a wonderful year and what a great experience it's been, and really looking forward to enjoying 2023, continuing growing and doing all the things that we love to do and sharing it with you out there. So from all of us here at Wolf Precision, we want to say thank you so much, and we hope everybody has a happy and safe new year. And we look forward to kicking off 2023 with a Fundamentals of Marksmanship series that we're going to continue on here through January and try to share with you some tips and tricks that we did when we were training up from the 500-yard club to the 1,000-yard club and beyond. So try to share with you some great information. So thank you so much, everybody out there. We really appreciate you joining us here at the show. My name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host, and you're listening to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.